everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Viall Files. Happy Monday night if you are tuning in right after Listen to Your Heart, or Tuesday, or whenever you finally get to us. Another fun episode of Listen to Your Heart. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and if you are watching it and enjoying it like I am, make sure you're spreading the word to all your Bachelor Nation friends out there. We got a great episode. Chris Harrison is our guest today, Daddy Harrison, to give us an update on all things Bachelor, Listen to Your Heart, talk about just kind of how the show started and get to know some of these cast characters and you know, a little behind the scenes about them, as well as some updates on all things Bachelor Nation, some of these quarantine couples that are going on, and what's the latest on Claire's season, Bachelor in Paradise, and it was great to chat with Chris. Also, hey, Rochelle, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm settled into my life here. That's one of those things. I think a couple weeks ago, it was like, hey, we're recording from home, and now it's the new normal, I guess.
You're going on Zoom dates, you said.
I'm chatting with people. I'm crashing a few Zooms. I'm just trying to keep my mind clear. Also, bonus, I got a new rug. I'm excited about that. Continue to, think of the positive things you can do out there and help those you can. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, are just trying to get by and take care of themselves, and that's understood. And for those people who can help, try to help when you can. Other than that, let's get to the episode. Again, we have Chris Harrison on. Really appreciate it. And then tomorrow, Ben Higgins. You will definitely want to check that out. It's a great episode with Ben, and we have some really kind of personal and deep conversations I think you'll enjoy. So without further ado, Daddy Chris Harrison. Chris, how's it going?
I'm good, Nick, man. Just living life in the quarantine, probably like you.
Yeah, yours might be a little bit more exciting. You at least have Lauren with you, and I saw that you had your kids playing.
Yeah, my teenage kids. My son is 18. He's a senior in high school. My daughter's a sophomore. Well, I guess now they've probably both graduated, so I guess maybe she's already a junior because school's over, kind of. So wow. It's a mess. Yeah. I feel bad for him, especially. Both of them have kind of gone through it. They have great perspective, but being a senior in high school, he plays spring sports. His sports are over. His career's over. I mean, he's not going to put on his uniform again, and that's tough.
That's a bummer. The sports aspect. I mean, look, school's important. I'm not saying that, but I mean, my senior year of high school, the school part, the senioritis or whatever, it's just like, you've pretty much learned what you're going to learn. But those moments in sports, if you played, like kind of to have the goodbye, like it's like if you play professional sports, like to know you retired and kind of do the tour and say your goodbyes and kind of take in the moment. It really sucks that he didn't get to do that.
Well, for guys, that's our fraternity. It's what we belong to, and it's kind of what defined us in high school. I played soccer, football players, all that stuff. So, I think it's a little different for men, and you go through, freshman year getting beat up and you're skinny and scrawny, and then, you make it to the top, and you always look forward to that senior year when you're going to be the guy. Yeah. You're 1.5 feet taller than everybody. You got 80 pounds on everybody. You can start wailing and, you dominate. And again, it is your swan song, and it was kind of keeping him focused his senior year. I was kind of glad. I said before the quarantine, I'm like, I was really appreciative of sports because it's keeping him fit, focused, dialed in as we kind of wrap up senior year, and then boom, it's over. And, and for a dad, I was looking forward to that moment of walking him on the field on senior night, that one last time with my arm around him and probably tears in my eyes, and it's gone. Graduation, gone. Prom, gone. All of it.
Now that you're saying it out loud, I literally thought about my senior year and, track. I played all sports, but track was my big one. And I trained, like I had a lot of success all through high school, but I won some stuff, but I wanted to win the 800, and my audience might not care about this, but like I trained all year. I mean, I was doing repeat 400s in the dead of winter in Wisconsin. I busted my ass, and had they had to cancel the track season, and I would have been devastated, just truly devastated. I'm thinking about it now, and even now it's just like, wow, I really empathize with the people, like the young, seniors out there, men and women, and whatever it was that they were into. Those are some moments that sucks that they can't go back to.
There was like 7 or 8 of them, and I'll never forget. It was because it was a month ago, but the coach called them all together, and then they had the meeting when he was saying we're postponing and most likely canceling this season. And Joshua, my boy, called me and he's like, hey, we're going to go out, even though we're kind of starting the quarantine, we're going to go out and grab one last pizza together, just the seniors. And I said, hey, go, this is it, man. So he went out one last time, and that's it. That's how it all ends for him. And they have perspective. They understand there's bigger fish to fry right now. And they understand the greater idea of what's going on with the quarantine. But, when it's impactful to you, it's impactful to you. That's all that matters. And
totally.
For these guys, seniors in college, seniors in high school, it's a big deal. I told my daughter, I said, you're fortunate. You're a sophomore. This is going to be cleared up by the time you get to your junior year. And then on to your senior, you'll probably have life back to normal, but no prom, no graduation. It's just weird. And the way we're going in California, Gavin Newsom's like, we're shutting down until spring of 2025. He is really into this lockdown thing now. And I don't think we're even going to be able to graduate this summer.
Yeah. It's been nuts. We're adjusting as a society, and it's been tough on a lot of people. Obviously, it's nice to see the things that people are doing as a society to try to do their part. So, I think as everyone's just trying to get through it together and find your new normal, that's a great way to say it. But that being said, thank God we have listened to your heart to get us through some of these new times. Another great episode. I'm really enjoying this season, Chris. Congrats on another quality show that, quite honestly, I'm hoping more and more Bachelor fans give it its due attention. I think we were talking about before we started, people are resistant to change. This whole idea of, wait, what do you mean, The Bachelor and music? I don't know, like stay in your lane kind of thing. And quite honestly, like it's another Bachelor show. If you like The Bachelor, you're going to like this show. And I'm really enjoying the music element to it, because before in the other shows of The Bachelor, like people try to sing and they're not like that great at it. But now they'll start singing. I'm almost kind of expecting the same kind of shitty performance, and then they'll sing, and I'm like, is it Julia this episode? She's phenomenal. It was just like, what a beautiful performance.
Yeah, they did I think they were with Valentine in the morning. They went to a morning show, and they set up that bit with her, and she started singing. You're like, oh my God, this woman has some pipes. But yeah, look, change is tough. And we've all been through a lot of change in the last month. But one thing that's exciting for me is trying to create and start a new show. As a host, as a producer, I've been in this game a long time. It is a difficult thing to launch a new television show. I don't care who you are and what franchise you're from. This is the way it goes. You start kind of slowly, and then it builds up steam, and people find it. That's how this game goes. Anyone who thought you're just going to come out and hit another home run right out of the gate, that doesn't happen in this business. I've been at this a long time, and so luckily I have the perspective. But it is a great show, and for all of us as producers, crew, we knew we had a good show. We know we have something on our hands, and now the people will find it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I expect more and more people to watch it. They'll stream it. They'll find it on their streaming services. When sometimes it's like you need the kind of kick to be like, do I want to give it a shot? People are
resistant to change.
And I like it. I think going back to the whole sports thing, I like it when I'm an underdog. I like when people are skeptical, and people were very vocal. Like, I am not watching this show. There's no way. And then Monday night, people are tweeting, okay, you got me. I'm in. And I love that. I love that. Come in skeptical as can be. And I'm telling you, I just watched, the next episodes, and I'm like, there are so many incredible stories. I'm hooked. I know what happens, and I am so hooked in trying to figure out what's going to happen. Like, wait, you idiot, you know what's going to happen. But I fall prey to it as well. There's some really good drama ahead.
Yeah, it's real simple. If you like Bachelor in Paradise, you're going to like this show. Like, it's
you need to think more Bachelor in Paradise. It really is less Idol, less The Voice, less singing competition. It really is about these relationships. And as we head into next week's episode 3, 4, 5, and 6, these competitions, when they do perform, it's still about these relationships, the backstage drama. Are they in a fight? Are they just trying to fake it? Or, what's going on? There's so many layers to it that when they perform, that's really just this minute part of what's going on.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's funny because I'm watching, there's so many like wrinkles on this episode that relate to just, what I like about the show, obviously with, especially this podcast, and I think why in general the Bachelor franchise is successful is that we're dealing with real life dating situations, the dynamic of I just want him to like me and the love triangles of everything. The show opens up with kind of everyone kind of digesting the last rose ceremony, they're kind of, here's a new week, new beginnings. We always get the updates on the relationship. Who's the army guy? Is it Brandon?
Brandon.
Yeah. So like, I love how classic case of, he's like, I really like am grateful for my time with Julia and I'm really thankful. And it's just like, if a guy in the real world says to you, listen, I really had a great time and I'm really grateful. Like he doesn't like you at all. Like, I think.
Well, and then how about flash forward to right after the rose ceremony?
Oh my God. Perfect. Yeah. Right. And that was like another like classic kind of guy move.
The bookends of Brandon, he starts that episode saying, I kind of want to keep my options open. Then he seems to settle on Savannah. And I mean, moments after the rose ceremony, he basically slides into Julia's DM and says,
whispers
hey,
in her, still figuring it out.
I'm still figuring it out. You're still on the table. It's like, wow.
And I love how Julia, when she's narrating what Brandon did, it's if she's like saying, this guy's a fuckboy, how dare him, blah, blah, blah. But she's saying it with a smile. And all she heard was, I still might like you, which how relatable is that? Where it's just like, here are all these red flags. Every one of your friends knows he's just fucking with you. But you just like that you have a shot.
And
it always takes me back to Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sleeping with 4 other people. I am actually currently engaged. I have 5 children. You're cute. So you're saying there's a chance. People hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see. And it is why the show is so fascinating. And it's why I tell people it really is that Bachelor in Paradise, because you're not just getting Nick Viall's perspective in his dating life, you're getting everybody. So you're having Jamie, who's really young. You're having Rudy, who, wow, like sitting there, she went through 6 different emotions and characters and then slapped Matt before making out with him. I'm like what is happening? And the Julia, so it really is like Paradise, where there's so many different layers and so many different relationships, and they're very different because people are coming from very different. Then you have the Jade and Tanner of it all with Chris and Bree, who are just going to go have their own show.
I in love, apparently. That's so crazy.
Oh, Chris is super sweet.
They're going to be I think they're going to be the Jade and Tanner, where they just like, you know what? We fell in love. We're going to go off and do our thing. You guys, mess around. We'll see if that lasts. And that's the thing, these relationships that are seemingly strong will ebb and flow, and people change. And that's when it gets interesting.
So let's kind of break it down, each of these relationships in maybe kind of chronological order. So like the big part of the show obviously was the Trevor and Jamie, right? And it's, which it seems like the Trevor and Jamie show. We'll see if who knows that, and that certainly can come full circle next episodes. Maybe Ryan pops back in, but, I love that, is Trevor a great guy? Not. They're on a date, which I kind of teased it last podcast with Nikki Glazer. I don't know if you know, I live in Venice, California. I was on a run and I got a text from Firestone. And she's like, are you running past me? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, turn around. And they were filming this date. I was like, what? And so like they actually walked past. I was catching up with one of the producers, and I saw him, and it was kind of funny to see that date.
Trevor's past is really interesting. Obviously, Natasha, his ex-girlfriend's friend, came in and kind of blew him up and put him on blast in front of everybody. That was aggressive. what is your thought on Trevor? And this is what everyone's going to have to answer. Is he the F boy? Is he the player? Is he playing Jamie? Is he playing this whole thing? Kind of like he played his way through, Idol. Was he playing, it's interesting.
I had a lot of thoughts about this. I didn't want to defend Trevor, I was critical of him last episode. My general thought on Trevor is he's probably a fine guy. He's also just a dude. What he is not, and my criticism of Trevor, is that he seems so self-aware of how he comes across on TV. And he's not a bad guy. He's just a guy. What he is not is the overly sincere and emotional sweetheart that he wants people to think. That's my take. I think he's a fine guy, but he's just trying too hard to be super sweet, and to me it reads disingenuous, right? But at the same time, I don't want to be defending Trevor, but what did he do wrong? I mean, he might have done some things wrong in the past relationship. So here this Natasha girl rolls in like a fucking freight train, and she's like, I've never met this guy, but I've heard some rumors, and let me tell all you about it. And he better have told Jamie right away. Meanwhile, Trevor's known Jamie for 12 minutes? What do you meet someone and give him the details of I might have lied in a relationship before? Cast the first stone,
Well, and I will say this for Trevor. I mean, he, did he own up to everything, immediately with Jamie? No. Why would you say all that stuff? But at the same time, he was pretty clean. He's like, even with Natasha, he's like, yeah, we dated for 1.5 years. I probably stayed in the relationship too long and made some dumb mistakes. And I was like, okay, that kind of sums everybody up in the world. I've done the same thing. And I mean,
exactly.
If you shined a bright light on all of us, we probably wouldn't be that happy to have every detail of our life brought out in the open. And revisionist history too. I'm going to tell it from my side. His girlfriend's going to tell it from her side. If there's a breakup, it's probably not because we loved each other too much and things are going too well.
Exactly. Right. I mean, even the best relationships with the best guys, if they leave the relationship, the other person's going to be hurt, and there's a good chance they might not see that person as amazing or lovely, or for all Trevor's ex-girlfriend, the last moment he might have talked to Natasha was when she was heartbroken and just saying a bunch of shit because she was hurt and upset, and maybe she feels totally different about Trevor now. We have no idea, but
maybe Trevor is that guy. We don't know.
Or I suspect that Trevor is probably a fine guy. Where do you in general, where do you come on the line of the emotional cheating conversation? First of all, I do not agree with Natasha when she's like, well, that's arguably worse. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to just put it out there that I don't want to be emotionally cheated on, but if I have a girlfriend and she is having sex, intercourse with another guy, definitely worse than sending a nude. I'm just saying,
at what level are you emotionally cheating? Yeah, look, you get into the weeds of this. Is okay, you're starting to text somebody. Did someone slide into your DMs and you responded back? Is that emotionally cheating? Did you, call them? Have you seen them? So what are we talking about here? I don't know what he did. And so you would have to go a lot deeper into this story of, did he get 2 years into a relationship that he shouldn't have been in, realized he wasn't happy, wasn't man enough just to break up, which he admits that's what the problem was. I should have just broken up, and I didn't, because I was scared of the breakup and scared of hurting her feelings. And so guys and women do this all the time. You pull apart, you try to make things so awkward that maybe they'll break up with you. Guys, oldest trick in the book. We all know it, but maybe that's what he was doing. And then he started this, talking with other people. Who knows?
Totally.
That's what I love about this show and about The Bachelor in general is everybody can relate to some part of this. We've all been in relationships like this. Maybe we've all done things like this and we regret it or we feel guilty. And you're like, yeah, it can happen. So it's very interesting.
Totally. I totally agree. I mean, and I was actually texting with Nikki Glazer about it too. And, it's just here's Natasha comes in, she's like, he cheated, And so listen, I've never cheated on a girlfriend. I mean, technically, have I emotionally cheated? Yeah, I probably have in a sense. I'm sure I've been in relationships. I related the Trevor's reasoning of sticking in a relationship too long, that last couple months, or like you're fighting, but you look back and be like, you know what, I probably shouldn't. I was flirting with this person. I was doing those things. But at the same time, even let's say you did cheat, like, is that like? There's always that rule, like, do cheaters always cheat? Is this who they are? If I meet someone and I start liking them and I'm really excited about them, and then they tell me that like they cheated before, is it a non-starter, or is it a case-by-case basis versus like, well, explain that situation to me, that's kind of interesting.
If you want to get deeper into this, it's like, it really is that emotional cheating or the emotional leap that makes you want to break up in the first place. It is your thinking, whoever leaves a relationship, it's your thinking that this isn't it. This person, this man or woman is not my thing. And usually it's somebody else who opened your eyes, or some other situation that opened your eyes to that. Now, is that cheating? Is that emotional? I don't know. Where do you draw that line of, there's a reason that you have gotten out of this relationship, and there's a reason that person wasn't the one. I'm not even talking about Trevor anymore. I mean, just in general, to your point, if you're not in love with that person, if that person is not the person you're supposed to be with, you would want to know what that relationship was like. What was the breakup like? Where was your head? Were you young? Were you, like Jamie saying, I've always been cheated on. Well, you were a teenager then probably, and you were dating teenage boys, and that's what teenage boys and girls do. They're all over the place. Their emotions haven't settled in yet. So for Jamie to say, I've always been cheated on, it's like, well, if you told me that as a 38, 39, 40-year-old, that's different than a 21-year-old. So it's perspective, it's life experiences. A lot goes into this.
Totally agree. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, even if you met a guy or a girl and she's like, yeah, I've cheated on my ex before. That was 7 years ago. And, what sucks for Trevor, and he can't get this back, and Natasha kind of ruined for him, is that we'll never know how honest Trevor would have been with Jamie as the relationship evolved. Like, it's not appropriate it's not fair to expect Trevor 10 minutes into the date be like, all right, I got to level with you. Like, I emotionally cheated on my girlfriend of 2 years. Like that's something that you get into down the line of saying like, hey,
well, do you ever, well, I don't know. Do you ever get into it down the line? I think, I'm in a relationship with Lauren Zima, and, she knows I was married. She knows that I got divorced, and we've talked a lot about my relationship with my ex, and she was married as well. I know a lot about Lauren's relationship with her ex. Do you get into every detail and the weeds of everything? No. And especially, and that's after we've been dating a couple of years. So, if you're just meeting somebody, will you ever be so detailed that, wouldn't you say this relationship, she wasn't right for me, Would you ever go, oh, and by the way, I emotionally cheated?
Yeah. No,
I don't know why that would ever come into a conversation.
Well, I guess it depends. It's situational, right? For like Jamie, what I'm saying is like her storyline has been like, I've always been cheated on. And to your point, you're right. Like, this might be all college or high school relationships. We don't know that for sure. But it would have made sense that eventually she would have expressed this to Trevor about insecurities that she has. And then maybe it would have been an opportunity for him to connect with her saying, hey, I'm going to level with you because I want to start this relationship based off of honesty. I've been that guy, but here's the situation. Here's what I've learned about that situation. Here's what I learned about myself. I'm not proud of it, but I am proud of what I learned, and I hope to be like that. We'll never see that from Trevor. And now what makes it interesting is like, so we don't we'll have to see how he handles, because Natasha totally ruined that for him.
Well, and I think and also if you go further, we're always going to look now through that lens at Trevor.
Yeah.
No matter what he does, is he that guy? And as you said, I don't know if he can ever be that genuine, sweet, just good guy now, because we're all going to look at him going, yeah, is he? So,
yeah.
I don't know if that's fair or not, but now that's the way it goes. That's what Natasha did to him.
So they come back from the date. Oh, by the way, I love how, I got to say, they made $81 on their singing performance.
I don't know if that was real.
Oh, it's definitely real. But what sucks for like the normal street performers is that clearly there were cameras around there. And I got to assume that's 81 people who are hope to having a quick cameo on The Bachelor.
Totally. Although I doubt they knew what that was. I mean, because obviously we wouldn't have said this is for the Bachelor, this is your art. And it doesn't make sense that it would be the Bachelor because these people are singing. So I bet they just, it's LA
TV,
and it's Hollywood. Someone's shooting a show. Maybe I'll end up on The Voice or whatever this is.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're right. That was people that thought, maybe I'll put $5 in and get Instagram followers.
Yeah. So, well, good for them. They made some money on one song. What a great rate. That's $40 an hour for each person.
And I get all that. That's the best part. It's in my contract. I get all panhandling money.
Oh, great. Congratulations. That's a win.
So yeah, I love, and then Jamie comes back. It's revealed to her about Trevor might be a bad guy. He might not. And like most 21-year-olds, like Jamie, she's upset to hear it. But she just really needs Trevor to say anything because she wants to believe Trevor. And again, we don't really know if Trevor is this guy or not. But what's funny is that like this is like devastating news to to Jamie. And when she's talking about their conversation, she finishes it with saying, "Well, I just hope I get a rose from him." Like she doesn't care. Like she just likes Trevor, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we hear what we want to hear. We see what we want to see, and we all think that we're going to be the different version of that and that it won't happen to me. And that's positive. That's how we all think. It's human nature. Again, it's why it's fascinating to watch is you can see someone going down these tracks and going, do you not see the train coming? And I'm not saying that's the case for Jamie, but we've all been in those types of relationships where everyone around us saw what was coming. And Jamie is hearing and seeing what she wants right now. And she is, fascinated and she's crushing on the guy right now.
Oh yeah. She's crushing on him, and it's Trevor's to screw up. I think that's safe to say with Jamie. So was the next date Julia and Brandon? Was that the next one?
Chris and Bree went out, and then Julia did not go out with Brandon.
Oh no,
Brandon and Savannah went out.
That's right. No, wait. That's right. Okay, so Chris. Chris and what was her name? Bree. It was a sweet date. Not much going on. The thing I remember most from that was Bree being like, I love how they're all talking about they haven't really dated other musicians, and Bree, she literally is just like, well, I like to communicate in song, and I haven't had that, so I haven't really She's basically saying she likes to fight singing, She's like, I haven't been able to express myself because my other boyfriends didn't want me to sing to them while we were fighting, which I thought was.
By the way, sign me up for that too. I don't want you to sing to me while we're fighting.
I could not imagine every conversation I have with a girlfriend, she busts out the guitar and starts singing to me. I would just. That would be pretty awkward.
But they definitely have that chemistry, man. When they sat down in the record store there or the Guitar Center and then started singing to each other, I'm like, wow, they are sexual. They have chemistry.
Yeah.
Do you really think you can fall in love in a week?
Rochelle, have you ever seen The Bachelor?
I've seen it happen before. Look, only get more positive reinforcement as you go. But right now, I do think Chris and Bree are like, this could be it. Like, I may have been hit by the love rock and this is over. And it was interesting. Again, they were having their show and then Julia went on her date. And shockingly enough, while they were on their date, that's when Brandon and went on his date.
Just go though. It's great producing and they're doing a great job. GrubHub's been a lifesaver for me recently. I try to limit how much I go to the grocery store, obviously. But when I do, I pack up. But honestly, it's it'll be 5 or 6 o'clock. And even if I have groceries, I'm just screw it. It's just so much easier. I just go on my GrubHub app. I pick up my favorite. Chinese food, pizza, it's amazing.
Plus, you feel like you're doing a good deed because we're trying to help save the restaurants that we love.
That is true. Support your local restaurants. It's an excellent point. And even the people delivering your GrubHub meal, that's work for them. Make sure to tip your delivery people. Always important. But also, I'm just being selfish. It just makes my life easier. So
yeah.
The added bonus is you are helping out your community and your local restaurants, and you're getting great food, and you don't have to worry about making dinner. And it's nice. I don't know. I always feel I feel victorious every time I use GrubHub. I don't know what else to say. Just for our listeners, if you download the GrubHub app and enter promo code VIALL, you'll get $10 off $15 or more for new diners. That's promo code VIALL for $10 off any order of $15 or more for new diners. So download the GrubHub app today and use promo code VIALL to enjoy the restaurants you love delivered. And like I said, support your local restaurants. Or Rochelle. She said it too. I love it. So Julia and Sheridan. I love Sheridan. Clearly a sweet guy. It's like a guy who looks like he could be an extra on one of those biker shows, but in reality is just like the softest teddy bear. And probably my guess is his biggest criticism of that he gets from women is he's too sweet. He's too nice. Like all the women, they friend him up super fast is my guess with him.
And you just feel like he's that guy with the guitar on the beach that's about to get sand kicked in his face because, the big brooding army sniper guy is about to swoop in and steal his girl.
Yes.
100%. Poor guy. But I got to say, I was really impressed with Julia's voice. I know we touched on it last week. I honestly, like Rochelle mentioned, she has, cystic fibrosis. That was kind of lost on me in the first episode with, kind of remembering all the characters. But I'm curious, can you tease a little bit? Do we learn a little bit more about that and her life and kind of her struggle with that? Because it is a fascinating element. I don't know if you know this, Chris, but Rochelle's sister has cystic fibrosis, and so she's heavily involved in that community. And I learned a little bit through that world through Rochelle. And it's fascinating to get to know these people because how they approach life is different than most. They really they're good at capturing each moment, right? And because time is that much more limited for them. And you even see that in Julia, where she's just like, yeah, I care about her, but I'm focused on me right now. And she's not the only one to do that, but there's clearly an assertiveness that Julia has. And I hope that we learn more about that aspect from her.
Yeah, well, and I've been involved with cystic fibrosis as well since I started, probably like 18 years now. American Airlines had a huge event, and I got involved with the American Airlines event that was all about cystic fibrosis. And there were these 3 young girls at the time that were the face of this, and their life expectancy was in their young teens. And then they made it that far because obviously things have been progressing. And it is fascinating knowing that side of cystic fibrosis where you always kind of have a deadline on your life of young 20s. Okay, now you can actually live into your 30s and now you can actually have a family, but still it's not much beyond that. And so Julia is thinking, I have an expiration date, and that is this mentality of cystic fibrosis, and it's horrible, but that is indeed the case. And she has this zest for life, you can tell, of living in the moment. And I think you will see a lot more of that as we move on, of her diving in and where that her philosophy kind of comes from. But for me, it was interesting to hear from someone like that, because I've kind of been involved for a while, and I know that feeling and I know that story.
Yeah, that'll be.
Are they going to show her like doing her treatments at all? Because I know there's like a lot of stuff she has to do every day. Yeah,
good point. I don't know. Because I haven't seen in the next 3. Because so the behind the scenes story of this, as far as production goes, people were clamoring and saying, throw this show on earlier. We're in a pandemic and we're quarantined. Guys, this show wasn't supposed to be where it is anyway in our schedule. Wow. And we shot this right after Bachelor, and we crammed it in, and getting this on when we were supposed to on April 13th was next to near impossible.
Oh, wow.
And that's with everything being perfect and being able to go in and actually edit this in our regular edit bays in our offices. And we had to shut down. So the last month, 3 weeks of this, we were tearing down edit equipment. Guys, post departments taking this stuff home. We're trying to have Zoom conferences and notes. And I, on Thursday of the premiere week, so we're 3 or 4 days away from the premiere, I got a rough edit. And I mean, there were still graphics of where things needed to be. My voice wasn't in all of the stuff it was supposed to be for the voiceovers.
Wow.
I'm like, we are struggling to get episode 1 on. So I haven't seen a lot of the stuff because it's just not done yet. We are throwing everything we got because these people are home editing the show. And kudos to our crew and our family, because I don't know if any other a group and production could pull this off, but we are such a finely tuned machine. Our post department, I'm literally in my closet doing voiceovers for each week now. And so if they sound a little hollow and a little different, that's why. I mean, we're still piecing this thing together.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And so I guess in answer to your question, I don't know. I haven't seen everything. We're still editing this show as we go. I've just finally seen episode 3 being put together, and it's still not entirely done.
That will be interesting, though. Hopefully they can, because kind of to Rochelle's point, I mean, cystic fibrosis is a lung disease. Obviously, it affects your breathing. I don't know much about singing, but it takes some lungs to do it, and it takes. And she has an incredibly. I was really one of my favorite voices so far is hers on the show. I really,
if nothing else, whether it's a huge spotlight or whatever, I think we will be out of this. Have this great spotlight to talk about cystic fibrosis. And so I love it when we can, I'm not saying we're saving the world, but I like it when we can shine a light on social issues like this. Totally. And she will have a platform now to talk about this, and I can go talk about this more. And that's kind of a cool aspect of this is people will maybe look a little deeper at why haven't they spent as much money on cystic fibrosis as they have cancer and everything else. It's like, well, the truth is people were dying too young, and it wasn't worth the money for people to put money into it. And that was the sad, sick truth. And so now that people are living longer, some of these companies are like, okay, yeah, let's find a cure. Let's dive and spend more money on this. And so, when we shine a light on things change and things happen. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, they've had some incredible progress. I know there's a pill out there. I mean, Rochelle's sister's on it. So there's a lot of hope in that community as of the past year or so. I mean, I don't know how that's going, but it seems to be trending in a positive direction. So hopefully we'll be able to hear Julia's voice for a long time. But back to her relationship with Sheridan, she doesn't like him at all. This poor guy. It's just, she it's like he had this happen last week. He's a good singer, right? And I think when he performs, he definitely, I think all women or all people are attracted to talent, right? And so when he does his thing, people are just like, wow, you're good. You're good. I still don't want to sleep with you, but you're very good at singing.
You're a good dude, and you're a really good guy.
Yeah. So
he's just. I feel like he's that little fish, just hanging on the line, and it's just. Oh yeah, and Julia's like, well, I need a rose, and so, but as soon as Brandon comes back, just know this is going to happen.
So yeah, and so talking about Brandon, he a date card comes in while Julia and Sheridan are on a date, so I mean, Julia's not even there to be asked. So, what is Brandon going to do? He can only deal with the cards that are dealt, Yeah, why not take Savannah? Absolutely. Shout out to all the producers and the people in the show. I love the Dresden date. Homage to the Swingers movie, The Swingers. Really just cool. I mean, it felt like I was watching the movie The Swingers, and I shout out to Bennett. I know he's good. He loves doing that stuff.
There are a lot of Easter eggs in all of our shows because we're all pop culture fans, and Bennett and Ilan when he was on the show, Rob Mills, our executive, and Mike Fleiss, the creator of the show. We all love pop culture, and anytime we can kind of slide something in, a lot of times it's just for us. No one else will even notice, but it's like, we will see it like, the couple at the Dresden, I'm glad we spotlighted them in the end credits that, have been together for 38 years. They are performing there all the time. You can still go see them. They've been there, since the first.
They were in the movie Swingers, weren't they? That couple? I
believe they were. I haven't watched Swingers in probably 8 to 10 years.
I'm almost certain they were. Yeah. Do you remember on My Season where they put the kid inside the machine where you the claw machine at the roller skating rink?
Yeah.
And there they pan through, and there's a child inside the machine,
which had nothing to do with anything other than
there's a kid inside the machine. So yeah, I mean, as far as Brandon and Savannah, I don't know. Maybe that relationship will evolve. It seems more to be more about the love triangle rather than any of the relationships. Well, it's interesting because I don't really feel chemist. Here's what I think. I don't think Brandon really likes either of them. I mean, I think that's the honest answer, right? I think, yeah, I'm 100% certain about that. I think that he's going to convince it. Like, yeah, I'm sure I think he likes Julia. I think he likes Savannah, but he doesn't like either of them particularly that much more than the other. I think he might be slightly more attracted to Savannah. But I don't, like I said, that's why he's good, like leaving the door open for Julia, because he's more or less, I think, indifferent is my guess. That's my guess. Yeah, my guess, but I'm almost certain, because like that's life. Like when you're not totally sold on any one person, that's when you become the fuck boy. You're just like, you're both fine, like, and I like attention, so I'll both let you chase me.
But I will say this for Julia. What I appreciated about her is the day after the rose ceremony when she did say, "Hey," or I mean, after the date, she's like, "I had a good time, and I want to know where you stand on this, because is it so definitive?" When she said, "Look, I had a wonderful time, but I don't want to just shut the door on everything else yet. I still want to, I haven't even had a chance to get to know Brandon. So is it fair to say that, she doesn't like either one yet? Or is it fair to be like, look, this is also new. I'm in a dating situation. I'd get to date a little bit longer before I had to make a decision."
Totally.
So I at least respected the fact that she said, "Hey, that was wonderful, but I at least want to see what the deal is with this."
Julia, I think Julia, it's pretty clear that Julia prefers Brandon, right? Like, but she's unsure about how Brandon feels about her. And that's where you get this kind of fun love triangle. But you're totally right. I mean, sometimes the downside of the Bachelor world is the expectation from people calling dibs, so to speak. It's just like, if someone asks you out and you go on a date, it's just like, how do I deal with this? Like, I remember on when I was on Paradise, where Leah asked me out and I said yes, because it was like, I don't know. I don't know you. I wasn't initially expecting anything with you, but like, let's just go out. But then it's just like, I kind of knew that I wasn't really feeling it, but like, who knows? And so then you go on the date, but then you immediately in that world have to be like, hey, listen, here's the thing. I don't really, really. And so you unfortunately kind of have to be the bearer of bad news. But yeah, I thought Julia handled it perfectly with Sheridan. I mean, what is she Sheridan knows where she stands. I think it's pretty clear.
He still picked her though.
He did. Yeah. At the end, because, look, at the end of the day, going back to Nick's point about Jamie or about Ruth, it's like, you hear what you want and you're going to hope what you want. And at the end of the day, he's like, well, if I give her this rose, maybe she'll see that I am the good guy and I am, I'm doing the right thing. And, again, you're saying there's a chance. If she accepts a rose, there's a chance.
Oh, also, like, I was thinking about this too. I mean, we all do it as humans, right? We all listen. We all hear what we want to hear. And as humans, we all have a way of doing things that hurt us. We like pain. We self-inflict. We are our own worst enemies. But I can't help but wonder if musicians are even worse for like more or less inspiration. Like the people who they always talk about like, some of their best songwriting is when they're heartbroken, and
great art comes out of great tragedy.
Right. So I can't.
When we get out of this quarantine, there's going to be amazing art, not just music, but all kinds of comedy and things that have been written. And I mean, it'll be astounding. And that's, great heartbreak. And look at Taylor Swift. Her entire career is, one heart, breakup after another.
Yeah. I mean, John Mayer's best work was, his all his breakups, I even kind of talked about that in terms of like what motivated him when he was writing songs. But yeah, it's so true. So I'm watching this thinking like, I mean, again, everyone does it. It's not just musicians, but people going after what they know deep down isn't going to work out, only to create more pain for themselves, is like such a musician thing to do. So that maybe explains it.
Can we talk about Mel? So awkward. She's so in love with him.
The kiss with Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a big crush on Brandon. Went in for
She
the kid. You know,
purple
I have to give her
purple
credit
hair.
though. Purple hair.
Yeah.
Well, one of them. She was the one that had started on night one with purple
Yeah.
hair. I loved Mel. I actually really liked her. She was an amazingly smart woman, and I found her fascinating to get to know, even though she was on a short time because she went home at the end of this episode. But I like that she took her shot. She's like, I like Brandon. I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to make out with him. I'm going to tell him how I feel. And I like that she went down swinging. Good for her.
Yeah, no, she definitely, she seemed like a really cute, kind of quirky person. How did she describe it? Where she's like, when she was talking about her head and her heart, but she used very unique adjectives. She's like, it tickles my brain and warms me. I don't know what she said, but it was, I was like, oh, that's an interesting way of putting it.
It was the whole aspect of doing this with artists was very different, and the music aspect of this really took it to a different emotional level. And again, it's like the Chris and Bree date. Great, that's a cute date. Then all of a sudden they start singing, and you're like, whoa. Julia's date, same thing. It's like, okay, good date. They're on the radio show. That's a typical bachelor, bachelorette thing. And then they start singing, and you're like, oh, okay, I see this connection. So it really it ups the game because a bachelor, bachelorette is vulnerable and they're stripped down emotionally. But then when you sing, that's a whole other level of just being exposed. And so I found that just to be a fascinating aspect I wasn't expecting to get from the show.
Yeah, no, that I actually, I've really enjoyed that too. Me personally, I don't watch singing shows. I don't watch music competition shows. I've seen them. I get into it when I watch them, but I don't. But to that point, I've surprisingly enjoyed that aspect of it. Like, for example, when Julia started singing, I kind of went back and watched her performance again. I really quite enjoyed. It was like, wow, she's got a great voice. Not a good voice, not an okay voice. She's got a great voice.
Well, wait till next week when you see the competition and you see some of these people there are some performances where, and some are like, oh, okay. And
really?
Then some people,
oh no.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're not like crazy cringeworthy, but they're not great.
Yeah.
And then you see those that you're like, wow, I would pay to go see them at Staples Center if there was such a thing as concerts anymore.
Totally. I'm a little concerned for Jamie. Like when she sang, she had seemed like a decent voice, but she's 2 for 2 on dates where the guy's like, I'll carry you. Like where the guy, she's like, oh, I loved how he helped me out. And I'm like, well, from a singing aspect.
Interesting you say that because there is more to that, and you're going to see that next week. And there's actually this great moment with Kesha, who's one of our judges, and Jamie, because there is a thing that you're hitting on that we are going to expose, and it starts next week and it carries on. So actually smart to be in tune with that because there is something there to that.
Nice tease. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I don't know, maybe it's a confidence thing, could be a youth thing, but she definitely likes that other guys are leading for her, but maybe to her detriment. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Kesha has to say about that.
Sometimes it's scary how astute Nick is at picking apart the show and seeing things. And
I come on, Chris. I see the show like The Matrix now. It's just I just see green.
Because I listen to your podcast and I watch all this stuff and I'm like, wow, you really do have a discerning eye when it comes to these relationships and to breaking down the show and how it plays out. It's very interesting.
Well, thank you for better or worse, but I found my niche, I guess.
Those that can't do podcast.
People are always like, how do you give relationship advice? I'm like, because I just I do something and I say the opposite. Like it's that simple. So then we're at the cocktail party at this point. Always kind of good to kind of find out where everyone's at. I love it felt bad for Sheridan on a lot of levels this episode because even when he's narrating it, he's just like, well, if it goes well, she'll like me. And if it doesn't go well, she'll like Brandon. But yep, we know.
The moment that was really telling for me, he was at the by the fireside chat with Savannah, and he's like, "Yeah, Julia's off with Brandon," and they're both just like, and he's like, "Yeah, he needed to commiserate with somebody who's feeling the same thing because you just tell he's like, I'm used to this. Don't worry about it. I got this."
But didn't he say he's surprised she even gives him the time of day? I was like, oh.
I know. The underdog, always the underdog.
Yeah.
But yeah, that rose ceremony was interesting because you really, and I like the way we did the rose ceremonies where they would leave and go, a little different than Paradise in what we're used to. They would be waiting. And so there was this other element of having the camera in the room and the couples waiting to see which couple would come next. Was very interesting. It was kind of a cool aspect of the show, and maybe we take that to Paradise.
I like that new wrinkle. I gotta say, from a production standpoint, it must be even more torture for the cast because clearly it's going to take longer. You have to wait for them to walk down. You're sitting there waiting and waiting. So if you were like a person who's afraid of that they might not get a rose, that's got to be just even worse. And
then, next week, as I said, you will find out why early next week, but everything is about to change. And so those types of rose ceremonies will be completely different as we head forward because the whole aspect and face of this show is about to be turned on its axis.
I can't wait to find out what that is. I got to say, I do have a question for you when it comes to rose ceremonies and advice that you give on the show. Will there be a Chris Harrison advice crossover? Will you be telling people on Paradise and on The Bachelorette to listen to their heart right before they give off roses, or is that specific to listen to your heart? Because it plays either way.
It really does. It really does play either way. And I don't know. I think maybe I might have to. That might be one of those little Easter eggs I slip in one time of just like randomly at a rose ceremony and like listen to your heart.
Yeah, well, maybe we will see what happens with Trevor and Jamie and some other people. But if they find their way onto the beach, like maybe when Jamie's up, you can just be like, well, hey, listen to your heart.
But I'm already sick of it. So, I will just keep saying it over and over and over.
I know that probably isn't totally on you, is my guess.
Wait, so do we know for sure if they will be on Paradise in the future? Can you say?
We don't. Well, we don't know anything as of now for any of these shows. But, I do see a world where, a Jamie, a Brandon, a Savannah. I think it's got to be certain people that fit that Bachelor world. And as Nick knows what I'm talking about, it really takes that certain kind of personality. And I think you're smart enough to look at this cast and go, oh, okay, they fit. They don't really fit.
Ryan's a shoo-in for Paradise.
And it's not it's nothing against these people. There's just some people aren't going to, that chemistry and that personality won't quite fit with the rest. But yeah, a Ryan, a Jamie, I could see a Brandon, I could see a Rudy, I could see some of these people, and it's not to say they will. I could see that happening for sure.
Wait, am I confusing Ryan with, Ryan
has the lips. He's the Andy Grammer looking.
Yeah, so I mean Ryan could fit, but that's not who I was thinking about when I said Ryan. Who's the Mohawk guy? Matt is a shoo-in for personality wise.
Matt is the one that didn't know my name, so he's not ever going to be on another show.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. He's a good dude. I like Matt.
Yeah, I've asked around people. The producers seem to like him.
Yeah, he's good. And it's funny, in all honesty, another behind the scenes thing we didn't actually show. When I first walked in that night, I actually said, hi, everybody, I'm Chris Harrison. I am the host of the show. I should introduce myself because I know a lot of you won't know this franchise. And that was part of the fun for me is nobody, I knew, look, there were some fans, some super fans there that I did know, like, Jamie, Rudy. Some of them were really into the show, but there were a lot that were like, I'm just here for singing and maybe we'll find love. And they didn't know the whole game plan. And so it was kind of fun to go in and just explain everything. And everything I did was new and exciting. Like if you're on The Bachelor, okay, we're probably going to start traveling. Some point we're going to do hometowns, exotic, all that stuff. So it's not like a big shock when I announce it. But on this show, they didn't know. Like they didn't know the next performance was coming up until I told them that next morning after the rose ceremony. So that part for me was fun to see genuine naivete, genuine excitement, and adrenaline when we would announce and do things.
Totally. And I quite honestly think that makes this particular show a little bit better because the one criticism the show has gotten over the years, and to no fault of its own, is like through social media and the success of the show, new cast is just like too aware of the show itself and they become inauthentic on their own because they are doing and saying what they think they should do, and they've seen other people do it, and maybe they've even talked to alumni. And when you kind of go in totally oblivious to the production of it all, you're getting more authentic reactions, and I think you see that a little bit on this show.
But this show's maybe giving us some new wrinkles that maybe we'll see in other seasons of The Bachelor and Bachelorette. Maybe shake things up a little bit.
Totally. But speaking of Ryan, I really enjoyed the him and Natasha. I gotta say, don't believe Natasha. She's like, no, I'm super into nerdy cute guys. I would bet what all the money I have that if I got to see all of Natasha's ex-boyfriends, they not one of them is remotely similar to Ryan. Like every one of her ex-boyfriends is like from Jersey Shore or some like New Yorker. He's got a couple tattoos. He's probably a dick.
When I watched that, I thought, my first thought, and again, maybe it's genuine, maybe it turns out to be amazing and a great love story, but my first thought when I heard that was, oh man, guys are dumb. Like guys can just, some pretty girls in front of us. It's like, no, I like, scrawny guys who have never been successful and live with their parents. You're like, oh great, let's make out.
Yeah.
He was just like,
that was Ryan's little response. Okay, cool. Like, great.
I'm going to hear what I want to hear. I'm going to see what I want to see. And
but yeah, I mean, I really like Ryan, sweet guy, but he definitely reads as Ryan seems more into the music than the women on the show right now. And maybe that's because there's just no connections there.
And fair enough, by the way, in their defense, as you do sometimes in Paradise, it's like, look, I'm not going to marry this woman. This isn't the thing, but let's form some sort of friendship that we can, bond, move on to next week. So we each get a rose, we can move on. And then there's newcomers. So you're excited about, okay, maybe I will find love. And you both understand that things can change. And so there is that aspect too, of just kind of moving on. And, I think that's maybe what you're seeing, because that happens in Paradise all the time too.
Speaking of newcomers, there's that one brunette, very pretty girl who might as well have been from the art department. And maybe she literally was, because like, she's like a total hottie. And like, she was just like there. She might as well have been the couch.
Like you didn't
see her, didn't hear from her. And then she's gone.
Poor girl. My guess is she didn't talk too much.
And I feel bad when that happens, whether it's, this show, Paradise, or whatever. Maybe I feel worse on this show because these people may not know as much of what they're getting themselves into as opposed to Paradise. But I always hated when people will show up on Paradise a day or two before, go on a date. Oh, it's like no rose, and they're back, flying home from Mexico. And I'm like, I wish they could have stayed a little longer. But it's also like picking kids. It's like, who do I want to go home? Like, I don't want to lose any of them.
Yeah.
No, how do they decide who comes in at what time?
It depends. Honestly, sometimes it's logistics of Nick is busy and can't be there for day one. And so, okay, Nick will come week 2 or week 3. Sometimes there are stories that we think will play out later in the season. You don't want to just throw everything in the skillet at once. And so it just depends on story, on logistics, on people's schedule, and all those things kind of go into it.
When someone might produce the most drama versus when they might not, it all goes into it. So I guess we'll finish recapping this episode. I do have some, State of the Union Bachelor questions for you to wrap up. But so it seems like obviously the relationships to watch are, Trevor and Jamie. What's going on there? I'm curious about that. I mean, you guys, the tease in the previews, the Savannah versus Julia. We even get a kind of a fourth wall, get away from me, which is always a great sign for drama. When Cass loses, I can't stop recording. Yeah, sure, okay, they'll just as if like any like in the history of TV, when someone says stop recording, as if that anyone listens. That's when you're like, get another camera.
Yeah, get 5 more cameras.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about that. Anything you want to tease other than the things that you already have about things that we can look forward to and be excited to see?
Yeah, I'm glad everybody's loving this show as much as we love putting it on, but everything it really is about to be, shaken up. And as I love to say, everything's about to change next week. Performances will start. So the dynamic of the show changes, but it really is still about these relationships. And that what to me was so cool was, like you said, it's not about the performance. It's about who's performing with who? So it's like, okay, Savannah, Julia, who's singing? Who's really good? Who sucks? So it's like, you can kind of, it's this other aspect of dating of I can get over on this girl because I'm damn good and he knows it. And so it's this wild turn of events that brings in tears and drama. And it is the performance in that actual rose ceremony, and what the judges are doing is almost just a small part of what will stir the pot as well. So it was fascinating. And I think the show really takes off. I mean, starting a show is always difficult. You got to get in, you got to introduce the characters. What's about to happen is really, we're at a launching point. Episode 3 on is this thing really takes off.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. My guess is, I know, 'cause it's like what, 6 or 7 episodes.
Yep, 6.
It'll probably leave you wanting more, but that's a good thing. But speaking of wanting more, what can you tell us? I mean, about how things are going. There's rumors out there about, Claire's season. Maybe you guys might just do everything in a hotel. Is there any update that you guys have for us? Can you let us know? Because once Listen to Your Heart is over, we're gonna be starving for Bachelor content.
Mike Fleiss, Rob Mills, and I, all the producers, we are talking constantly about content. How can we provide content, and how can we do that quickly? Because as you just mentioned, as soon as Listen to Your Heart's over, there is a hole of there's no content. So what can we do in the interim before we can get Bachelorette on? Are there specials we can produce? Are there things that we can do and do it safely with minimal crew? Maybe even do it right here in front of my fireplace via Zoom, somehow pull this thing off, which Idol's going to do. Some specials are already happening on network TV. So I think that's probably first and foremost, how can we create immediate content? And then our big priority is Bachelorette, Claire's season. It's premature to even, think right now where it's going to be done, how it's going to be done. We are putting every idea out there. We're throwing everything against the wall because we don't know the scenario. We don't know what the world will dictate, what our governor, what the laws are going to be, what the rules are going to be. Can we travel? Maybe we can travel domestically and it's not that big of a deal. Maybe we just have to stay in the mansion. Maybe we have to go to a resort. Who knows? It's there is no decision made. I can tell you that. It's premature to even think there could be, because we're all still quarantined. We have no idea how the world's going to look. They're opening up beaches in Texas and Florida and golf courses and things like that. It seems to be going well. And we have flattened the curve here in California. And so you expect the reins to be loosened a little bit, but we will definitely make that a priority. As soon as we can get back, we're definitely going to, but we got to do it safely.
Yeah, totally. And we appreciate you guys doing that. Is it safe to say that, again, we don't know anything, but if the franchise is forced to make the very tough decision to, with limited time, we're just not going to be able to produce the Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise. Is it safe to say that that the Bachelorette is the priority?
Definitely safe to say that Claire and the Bachelorette's our priority.
Okay.
In the pecking order, first of all, it's next. It's what we are ramped up to do. We're prepared to do it. We have, casting is still open because, again, the idea that all these people can just pick up after a pandemic and come in and do this show again without jobs and their lives, and if maybe they're not healthy, who knows? That's naive as well. So we're still casting Claire's show, but that is our priority, and that's definitely safe to say.
Okay.
Now, where that falls in the calendar and what we're left with, that's up to, when we can get out of this. If we can't, if we can get back and do Claire soon, great. We'll still have summer left. We can do Paradise. But if all of a sudden it's September, October, November because of this damn virus, who knows?
Time.
Yeah, it's just, and then you got to get back to The Bachelor. Then you got to get back to, where we are as far as creating, this franchise. And The Bachelor and Bachelorette, they are definitely our priorities. That's our baby. That's what started this franchise. It's what drives this franchise. So you always have to put them at the top of the priority.
Totally. And they're the feeder system. I mean, you can't. I mean, could you throw Bachelor in Paradise together with the available cast that exists? Sure, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't be as good, and you'd be limited. And
that's why. And you want to be able to use maybe people from Listen to Your Heart and people from Claire's season that will blend in with people from Peter's season and Colton's and all that. So you definitely, it is that feeder that makes, there's a reason Paradise is so good. It's because you know these people and you know them from this last season. So one kind of begets the other.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for the update. And the only last question I have for you is, do you have any opinion on all these quarantine Bachelor hookups that seem to be going on?
I love this. Look, Nick, I think the first special I do is Bachelor quarantine. After the final quarantine.
Yes.
I mean, there needs to be an after the quarantine because I mean, you got Hannah that went off in quarantine with Tyler, but they're not anymore. Where is that? And then you got Kelly, and you got Peter and Dustin, who sadly must be a bizarre third quarantine wheel.
Or a throuple.
Maybe it's a throuple. My guess, maybe they started off like he was the safety valve. Like, you would have brought like, I have a blind date, so I'm going to bring Nick on to come with me. If it doesn't go well, it does well. Hey, Nick, buzz off. Well, you can't buzz off. There's a quarantine. So now he may be that sad safety reserve that is now stuck there.
He's the Instagram boyfriend to film all their content.
Exactly. Yeah. So, where is that relationship? It seems to be going very well, whether they define it or not. They're at least on the quarantine TikTok level. And that is really the new level of relationship. You are a quarantine relationship. Then you take your relationship to TikTok. And that really validates a relationship. Yeah.
So when's Chris Soules and Victoria going to be?
Yeah, I mean, that was out of left field. I got to say, I
still don't even know if that's
no pun
true.
Intended.
I don't know if any of that is actual factual or true. Journalism has really taken a big nosedive in this day and age of actually validating things. The only reason I will say I've seen Hannah and them talk about it, I've seen Peter and Kelly actually confirm it. I have not seen Chris or Victoria confirm any of this. So
this. I've heard from multiple people that they seem to be at least together, but who knows? But I will.
And you asked me immediately, what do I think of all this? Great. Honestly, if everybody's being safe and smart, and you can argue they weren't to a certain degree on some of this stuff, there is a sense of being a knucklehead and not social distancing and being as smart as they should have been. I will deal with that as a father figure later.
Sure.
But in all seriousness, if Hannah finds love with Tyler, great. If Peter is finally happy and finds somebody, awesome. If Chris Soules, who I really care for and think is a good man, great, man. I love it. I think Victoria F is a good woman. So super, man. If you find love in the quarantine, I'm all for it. I just love that our show is absolutely generating more content during the quarantine than anything else. And it's not even on.
Totally. And I just to point out, in terms of, yes, we can argue whether it was safe, but it's, the criticism, if you're going to criticize Victoria and Chris, you have to criticize Peter and Kelly and Tyler and Hannah. Like, what I'm saying in terms of like the safety of the, whether it was safe to travel. Like, I mean, I've seen out there with like Victoria and Chris criticism, like, oh, well, you couldn't wait. But like, this was going on when Peter and Kelly are flying. So like, I don't think it's fair to criticize Chris or Victoria if they are in fact hanging out any more than any of the other couples who decided to quarantine earlier. But I agree with you. Like, I mean, Chris has gone through a lot the past few years. The guy's been stuck in Iowa. You know what? If it's a real thing, you know what? Good for them.
Or even if it's not, like, let them define it, let them figure it out, and good on them, and look, everyone's going to pick everybody apart. That's what we do in America with, the pandemic and quarantine. It's like, you're not doing it like me. You're not doing it like you should. And, there's no perfect in this. We're all figuring it out. And we're also trying to live our lives, and people are making some slight mistakes according to these new guidelines and rules, but they're also just trying to live, and they're young.
Yes. And it'll be fun. I totally agree with you.
And to our knowledge, none of them, Colton did get it. He's better, thank God. And oddly, Cassie's family didn't. So who knows?
Is there going to be a prize at the end of Listen to Your Heart? Like, do they get there?
Yeah, the ultimate idea is that we have one super couple at the end of this that the judges will eventually choose after all these performances. You'll have one mega couple that has obtained it all. They have love, they have found each other, but at the same time, they're about to embark on an amazing music career together that we will launch. You know, well, I would have said pre-pandemic, they would go on tour. They will eventually, but they will go on tour. They will perform. They're going to work with producers. They were going to record music. I believe music video, the whole 9 yards. We are going to launch a couple into stardom.
It's going to be Chris and I keep forgetting her name, Brie. Yeah, that's my prediction. Maybe Julia and whoever she ends up with. I think people are going to think Trevor and Jamie, but like, I think there's better connections out there, and I think there's more talented performers on the show than those two. Nothing against them. They're fine. They're good. They're cute together. They're the traditional Bachelor couple, you know, cute, good looking people. Like they can sing, and they would do just as well in the Bachelor or Bachelorette. But I think you have, if music's going to be part of that equation of super couple, I'm gonna say Chris and Brie are my early favorites.
I'm voting for Rudy and Matt, actually.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I thought they had a hot kiss.
And by the way, hot kiss. And I don't know if you remember, but Rudy's got some pipes too.
Oh,
she can flat out sing.
She can sing. I just want to point out that if your first kiss is super hot just because you slapped him first, that might be the start of a toxic relationship.
I was going to redefine super hot, because to me it was like so awkward.
Yeah.
I'm like,
listen,
like, should we kiss? Should we not? Slaps him. Kiss. I'm like, whoa, what just happened?
Listen, there's a time and a place to spice it up, and I'm not criticizing, you know, foreplay or even a little bit of mutual aggression that's, you know, with safe words. But I don't know if that's the start of a good relationship. I don't know. Things might get stale too quickly if you're counting on that.
I just thought like when I first saw that, I go, man, think if that was the opposite.
Yeah. Well,
think if Matt had done that to her.
Oh God. But
yeah,
Nick got choked one time. That didn't go well.
When I got choked by
remember
Jamie.
Chris?
Yeah. And,
what'd she get?
In the Virgin Islands, I'm like about to send her home, and she's like, "I could choke you," and then she literally does, and I just like I was so over it. I just like,
Nick's like, this is what I've always been hoping for. This
my
is
God.
It. I love you. Let's get married.
I gotta say, I don't think I enjoy being slapped or choked.
I don't like being slapped. I think it's because my brother used to pin me down when he would beat me up, and he would slap me. You know, just like that. So I would rather you honestly punch me in the face than slap me.
Yeah.
I don't like being slapped.
Either one. If a girl hits me in the face, chances are I'm not really. My next move is probably not to kiss you.
Has a girl ever hit you?
In the face? No.
Have you ever been slapped?
Oh, yeah.
Not by a girl that I've been dating, and not from a fight romance. You know what I'm saying? Not like
right. Not in a passionate movie style.
Nothing like that. No. So I don't know.
By the way, I love it when Nick goes down a deep hole. You can see him go down the rabbit hole in his mind when he just gets kind of quiet.
It's more like I honestly would take anything at this point. You know, I'm stuck by myself, and
I think we're all like I relish a bad relationship at this point for most people sitting there at home.
I've more or less kind of sworn off Bachelor relationships, but like I got even now when you see other people coupling up, it's like, fuck it. You know, maybe I just like get rid of that rule I have for myself. But
hey, my theory is this, and Lauren and I talk about this, whether it's, you know, age, looks, like where you are in your life, what they do, why narrow anything? It's so hard to find somebody, you know, and I say this to friends who, even religious stuff, where it's like, well, I only date, you know, I'm looking for a good Jewish boy. I'm like, well, wow, that takes a lot of people off the table. Maybe just find somebody and then see what you can do with that.
I couldn't agree more in general. I think
I'm a big believer in giving it a shot. But but I get your point.
For me, it's just more like, I, for example, if I were interested, like, let's say it's Victoria F, like, you know, like there's a lot of people, Chris and Victoria F, let's assume that's going on, are not the only people in America breaking these rules, or maybe they start on a FaceTime. They're like, fuck it, get on a flight or whatever. But like, if I like someone, I want to give it a real shot. I don't want the
it puts so much extra pressure and so
then,
much.
Like, I don't want to. So I would have to like meet someone, talk to them, and like really be like, I really, really like you to like even go there. So I'm just more hesitant specifically with just Bachelor relationships.
You just got to do what Zima and I did. We just kept it secret for about 6 or 7 months, and you have someone you can really trust, and you keep it on the down low.
That's the trust part. It's just the trust part with like people. It's in that world is.
Sometimes.
Well, but then one person tells one person, all of a sudden it's on Insta. You're like, okay, great.
Well, that's the thing. It's not those people. You tell one friend, and then there you go. But I will agree. I absolutely agree with you in general that we have way too many self-inflicted rules on people we should or shouldn't date. And it's just like, how do you know, man?
So
I'm only going to date a guy over 6 foot tall. I'm only going to date him if he has makes this much money. I'm like, wow, okay, well. You don't really make that much money. Why are you putting a demand on him that he needs to be a millionaire? Like you,
right.
He had to go to college and graduate. Like, did you graduate from high school? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's amazing the stipulations we put on the people that we don't even have. So yeah, I say, give it a shot.
So totally.
Chris, are you learning guitar? There's a guitar right behind you. Are you trying to get in on that?
So actually not this one. This is something I bought at an auction for a fundraiser. But I actually have several guitars because years ago, a lot of people are musical on our show. Nick knows this. Martin Hilton and Alon plays guitar, and Mike Fleiss, the creator of the show. And so I was always so envious. We would have these jam sessions. And nobody knows about this, but at the end of our shows, we would just, after the final rose ceremony, producers and all of us, and sometimes the couple we would have these jam sessions and just sit by the fire and crack a beer on whatever beach we were on and sing songs. And I was always so envious. And so the producers, as a gift, gave me a guitar back in, I think, Emily Maynard's season. So years and years ago. And I would travel with it just because I wanted to, and I would teach myself. I have a lot of time on my hands sitting in hotels and all that. And I taught myself to play guitar. And so I don't play for anybody, and I'm not a good singer, but I do love it now. And I will mess around a little bit playing guitar. And I taught myself just on the road. And I'll never forget, I was so jet lagged. I was sitting there, and it may have been Brad Womack's season is when it was, actually, because it was Emily Maynard when he met her. And I was sitting there in South Africa completely. I was quarantined, locked in, because you can't go out at night or you'll get eaten. We were on this game preserve, and I just sat there all night because I was jet lagged. And that was it. That's how I learned.
That's great. Yeah, I knew that Martin and Mike and Rob all were big music guys. That's
cool.
This one is actually, this was for my son because it was Imagine Dragons.
Oh, wow.
I hosted, I'm good friends with them and I'm a big fan of theirs. And I hosted their big event in Vegas because they're from Vegas. And as soon as they were done performing, they did an acoustic set. They auctioned off all the guitars and all the equipment. And awesome. So I went up on stage and had it signed for my son.
Very cool. Chris, I really appreciate you taking the time to help us recap Listen to Your Heart and catch up on all things Bachelor and find out how you're doing. It's always fun to have you on, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
I can't wait till I can actually see you. Nick's one of the last people I saw when I was out in public, and that was my event. And since then, we've been locked in. So you guys stay safe, and let's just Zoom cocktail some.
Before I let you go, can you give us an update or a quick plug on your wonderful rosé drink?
Oh yeah, tropical rosé. It's been slow because of the quarantine and getting distribution out, but the people that have found it is flying off the shelves, which is awesome. But Seagram's Escapes tropical rosé, it's fantastic. And by the way, my new version of it, I'll put it on ice and then put a little shot of Tito's vodka in there to give it a little spike. Ooh. That's my new jam.
There we go.
It is, but yeah, it's in Total Wines, Walmart's, depending on where you are around the world, Jewel Osco's, HEB's, depending on where you are in the country, but it's nationwide and it's doing great. So hopefully it'll be the best post-pandemic drink too.
There you go. Well, when Bachelor viewing parties are allowed again, maybe it's even on Zoom. If you're not drinking Seagram's Rosé along with it, you're not being as authentic as you can be.
Exactly. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
You guys take care.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. We definitely appreciate you tuning in.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. We definitely appreciate you tuning in. And again, we thank Chris. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow. We have Ben Higgins joining us. Great conversation with Ben, a good friend. Haven't had Ben on before, and we really, talk about some of our insecurities and things that we've enjoyed sharing on one-on-one basis, and what it's like to have been the Bachelor, and some of our insecurities about ourselves and from the show. And I really think you guys will enjoy that episode, so make sure you check that out tomorrow. And as always, we will, I don't know,